welcome to our November school board meeting. Courtney, you want to take call? Roll call.
John Larson.
Here.
Lamista Schultz.
Here.
Stacy Anderson.
Here.
Kelly Boyer.
Here.
Paul Wyatt. Absent.
Item 3.1, Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mrs. Schultz. Please stand if you're able, followed by the invocation given by Mrs. Boyer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet tonight as a governing board. We pray for thy help in making decisions for our staff and students of our district. We're grateful for them. We're grateful for our staff and all they do for our students, and we're grateful for our students and their families. Help us to be mindful of those in need and to do thy will. We're grateful for thy blessings. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
I'll ask for approval of the agenda, item 4.1.
So motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5.1, approval of the minutes.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 6.1, ratification of expense payroll vouchers, tax credits, and activity accounts for your approval.
I move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any call to the audience, Courtney? Any call to the audience? No? Okay. Item 8.1, business office update from Mrs. Smith. Is she going to be?
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
That link had went away. Oh, is he here?
I'm here.
Perfect.
Karen?
Good evening, everyone. How are you this evening? Good to see you from afar.
There you are.
So I'm going to give you a brief overview on kind of just some updates of what's going on with budget and the business office and open it up for any questions that you might have. But a couple updates for you since we last came together. So the auditors for the district's FY23, FY24, and FY25 audit is a later agenda item on this evening's agenda for the governing board to consider approving. We went through the process to solicit quotes from qualified audit firms who audit Arizona school districts, and we've identified one for your consideration this evening. So you'll see that later on the agenda. After I spoke with you at the last board meeting, I mentioned that we would be sending off our corrective action plan to the Auditor General's office. We have sent that off. And as we had indicated, many of the items demonstrated improvement. So now the next step would be the Auditor General's office will come on site to do their own evaluation to verify that those items have demonstrated the corrective action necessary to remove that 90-day letter. So that's our next step. Yes.
Will you be here for that?
I will, yes.
Great.
I will be there ahead of time to make sure everything's pulled together, and I will be there when the auditors are on site, both the Auditor General's office and when the independent auditor comes later in January to conduct their field work.
Excellent. Thank you.
A couple other updates. So we also had a corrective action with the Arizona Department of Education related to our federal programs. Each year, the school district goes through a federal audit for our federal funds that we receive. And in 2021, there were some corrections that were needed. So we have completed that corrective action plan, and the Department of Education has cleared us from that corrective action plan. So that one's closed out, and we don't have that one waiting on our to-do list any longer. Some things that we're working on right now, in addition to the continued operations in the business office and some preliminary budget planning for FY25. Since we've closed out our general ledger for FY23, now we're in the process of closing out all of our grants with the Department of Education. So that's like your Title I grant, Title II, CTE, our federal CTE program, our IDEA grants, so our special education grants, things like that. We're in the process of doing all the completion reports for those. We are also in the process of closing out ESSER 2. So all of these completion reports will be submitted by probably about middle of December. They're due by December 29th. So in the upcoming weeks, we've submitted some of them. ADE's already accepted some of them, but we will have them all completed by the early to middle part of December. We have started the Time Clock Plus implementation. Time Clock Plus is the replacement for our timekeeping system. Currently, the district uses a system called Chronos, which is an electronic timekeeping system rather than employees keeping a manual time card. But that system does not talk to our payroll processing system, which is School ERP Pro. So we are working with Time Clock Plus, which is a software similar to, it's a time clock system that employees can log in at their computer, or they can go to the time clock itself to log in, and that will interface with our payroll system. We are hoping that that will go live, hopefully, if not just before the holiday break, then just after the holiday break, we'll be able to launch that so that employees will use that new system to clock in and out each day. We're also in the midst of preparing all of our written procedures. So I call it like a playbook for all of the business operations, from purchasing to cash handling to capital assets, all of those different areas that we have compliance requirements. We're building a comprehensive handbook for that. And we're also in the process of building a template Excel for all of our student activities, auxiliary, and tax credit funds. So that's also something that we're looking to have implemented and rolled out to everybody, again, either in December, although with the Auditor General's office planning their field work, it might be that we actually roll that out in early January so that we have time to train everybody on what these procedures are as well. So we're working on that. As I mentioned, we're starting some of the budget development process for FY25. It's kind of hard to think about that, but it's going to be here in 6-7 short months. So we need to kind of look ahead at what some of our projections are, monitoring our enrollment, since so much of our funding is based off of enrollment. And one of the other items of update is we are working with a vendor. I think I mentioned this briefly at our last meeting, to implement a new credit card program so that we have more immediate access to our staff, that once they have a purchase order in place, they would be able to utilize the credit card, especially for those vendors that don't take credit cards, or when our staff, board members are on travel, or our staff are taking students to athletic trips, things such as that. And then the last item I wanted to give you a little bit of update on is some of the current vacancies that are in the business office. So we have a vacancy in our accounts payable area that the HR team has been in the process of interviewing. So we're hoping to have that filled rather quickly. We also have our finance procurement compliance specialist position that is currently vacant, as well as our business manager position. So in order of filling those, we're hoping to get accounts payable filled very quickly here. We are also working on getting the finance compliance specialist position posted so we can get that one filled pretty quickly. And then our plan for the business manager is to have that position posted hopefully late winter. So I would say like January, February, we'll have that position posted, conduct interviews ideally in March, early April. And if the person is available, if we get that ideal candidate at that time and that person is available, we'd want them to start right away. But if they are under contract and they need to finish out that contract, we're also prepared so that if they can't start until July 1, that we can do that transition then in the summer once the new fiscal year begins. So that's a little bit of an update of some of the things that are going on kind of in the business side of the house at the district. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
No.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you for allowing me to come virtually from you today too, as well. I appreciate that.
You bet.
We appreciate you. Item 8.2, Feast of Carols. Mrs. Whipple.
I'll bring the stars of the show with me. So we are excited to announce to the district and to the community the 39th annual Feast of Carols. Yeah, it's been around a long time. These are our stars of the show behind me. This is most of Showbiz tonight. We're missing a few, but these are the kids that have been putting in the time and effort to make this show happen and some rehearsals and practices. And so we would like to invite everyone to come and join us and participate in this annual tradition that we have that is very unique to Show Low School District. The performance dates will be November 29th and 30th and December 1st and 2nd. All shows will begin at 7 p.m. and they will be held at Whipple Ranch Elementary School. The first night on the 29th is a dessert night. It's a little simpler show. It's a little shorter, not as long. And then the other 3 shows on the 30th, 1st, and 2nd will be the full 5-course dinner feast. So the tickets will go on sale to the public on Monday, November 13th. Those will be sold every afternoon, the 13th through the 21st, in the auditorium from 4 o'clock until 6:30 p.m. Or you can contact Corey Lewis at 928-892-9703. The tickets are $10 to $12 for dessert nights, and then they are $25 to $30 for the dinner shows. And this is all the funding that kind of takes care of our choral program for the whole school year and allows for these kids to do the projects and the things that they do throughout the year and represent our district at various locations around the state. So we hope everybody will come and enjoy. It is a wonderful Christmas tradition, and it's a great way to start your holidays. So come and celebrate with us this year. We're going to perform Carol of the Bells for you tonight, and then we're going to let these kids get to rehearsal here in a minute. So are there any other questions about that?
Would you allow them to introduce themselves to us?
Oh, yeah, you guys can.
We'd love to know who they are.
Go down the line.
I'm Mackenzie Ramel.
I'm Cassidy Black.
Emma Merrill.
Kirsten Pettingill.
Avery Black.
Rosen Hunt.
Alden Larson. Tayton Brewer.
Lyndon Bartles.
Aiden Ratliff.
Cannon White.
Dax Lamson.
Lincoln Taylor.
Trennan Lewis.
Ryan Lindsay.
Luke Taylor.
Janet Webb.
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the poor. Ding dong, that is their song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how the dance out in the town. Caroling, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. One holly send on without end, their joyful tone to every home. Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is their song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how Christmas sound, oh, in the air, silent song. Ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. One holly send on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Dawn on their send on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Ding dong, ding dong.
Thank you.
Cynthia,
Yes,
these guys were chosen again to sing the national anthem at a Suns game, right?
they were.
Do you have that scheduled yet?
March 29th.
March 29th? Okay, we want to hear about that.
They'll be there.
Awesome.
Thank you. Item 8.3, auditorium committee presentation by Mr. Brimhall.
Going to be that entertaining, sorry. All right, we just wanted to say good evening, first off. It's been a while since we've addressed the school board, and we're excited for the opportunity to kind of just highlight some of the things that have been done at the auditorium. We're very encouraged by the direction that Kevin St. John's staff has kind of really pushed these things forward. I remember meeting with him, gosh, was that a year ago, this last summer? Time flies, it goes slow, but it flies. And, you know, we kind of aired our ideas with him and he's shaking his head. All right, we can do that. We can do that. Right. And lots of things have been done. We're excited to show those things here. See if I can start this guy here. Got two. I minimized your presentation. Okay. This is very hard for me to see. They don't make this for. Might have some of my staff have to come up here and show me how to do this, which is very embarrassing. There it is. Okay. So it was in 2021 that we last addressed this board. And again, like I said before, our purpose is just to kind of be a conduit of information from staff and the kids to the school board, just for accountability and just to kind of make sure that things are going in the right direction. I think we all feel a sense of ownership over. I know the gal standing to my left does. I do too. It's a beautiful facility, and we appreciate the opportunity to be kind of an organized subgroup of the school board. And what a great bunch of people. It's tough because we have to meet at goofy times because of rehearsal schedules. Sports and we all enjoy. We spend a lot more time talking amongst ourselves than just talking about stuff in the auditorium. So it's been a good opportunity and good folks in this community who are really concerned about the auditorium. So let's point out some of the things that have been done. These are just some of the stats. Thought I'd put this together for you. Are you looking at this while I'm looking at it? You're welcome to go back to this. I'm not a big fan of lots of words on slides, so we'll leave that up for just a second so you can read it. But basically what we wanted to put together was some loose statistics about how utilized this building is. Already in the school year, I've been in there 4 or 5 times for concerts and from, my kids, they're kind of that age where we're going to be in that auditorium a lot in the next few years. I have a son who's very into music and a daughter who's very into music. So just a lot of people are in and out of that building, and it's kind of a showpiece for Show Low. So we need to keep that in mind with all the priorities that we are going to point out tonight. All right, like I said, all these changes and improvements have been done after the summer of 2022. We still see the scaffolding over there on the roofing. If you're not going to protect what's inside with the roof, why bother? And Mr. St. John agreed with us with that, and it's getting done. The backstage looks wonderful. It's amazing what a fresh coat of paint and some flooring does. That did not look that nice a year ago. So we appreciate that very, very much. Our students deserve that, and so do the performers who use that auditorium. I'm kind of ignorant on what that thing is to the left there. I think it has to do with lights. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the new dimmer rack that was installed as phase 1 of the lighting system in integrating the lights from halogen to an LED system. And so that's what needed to be done to move all the lights forward from the old systems that we had. So that is the new rack that is set up to accommodate future LED lights.
And I've heard bats like this hallway too.
They do.
Had to slip that in there. Okay, so we've got, what I really like is we're kind of keeping that same motif throughout the building with the flooring. As you see in front of the house here, you've got the same kind of flooring. It looks really classy, looks really nice. And so again, we just appreciate the heck out of that. Restroom looks outstanding. So these were all things that were very high priorities for us when we met last. So you see the lighting is starting to change. It's a lot better than it was. And then we've got some, can you explain these two things to them?
The picture that we're seeing on stage, first of all, you're kind of getting a glimpse of the house lights. Before they were mostly burnt out, I think we had 16 in the whole building that were working. As of March of this year, we were able to get 64 of the 66 retrofitted for temporary LED lights. And so those have they have a temporary joint in them right now that allows for us to run LED lights there instead of the old halogen bulbs that were no longer made anyway for our current cans that we have in our lighting system. That is something that is still, again, it's just a temporary right now. That is something that is going to have to go ahead and be upgraded completely because those joints are not going to hold forever. But it is a step in the right direction. So instead of having 16 lights working, we now have 64, which is wonderful. The lighting in the house is much better. It also allows for safety for all people to be in there. It's a lot safer and it's not as dark. So we are grateful for that project being allowed to happen and that small upgrade. What you are seeing here, which looks kind of like a cage, which kids can climb on or whatever. This is kind of phase one of the fly line system. Before, what we had in the building was a counterweight system with ropes and pulleys and heavy stage weights. This system was installed and it now runs on motorized lines, which are much safer, much more efficient. And so there's some upgrades that still need to happen with that, but this is at the moment, just kind of what's getting us by. Eventually we would need to go ahead and finish filling that system and up as well, but it's enough that we can barely minimize and get through what we need to do for some of the productions. We wish we had more, but again, we are able to get by right now. So this is also a nice upgrade, and it's much better than dealing with those counterweights because if everything is not balanced, you end up with something falling, and then you have a bar that falls, and there's 900 pounds falling on the stage, which is a safety issue. So this is a step in the right direction.
Cynthia, is that to the right or left of the stage?
It is on stage right, so if you're standing on the stage looking at the audience, it would be on your
Right, okay, because that's where the old system was, right? Okay.
Correct. And that old system was also, because it was so old and because it wasn't a complete set, the steel beams in that were actually starting to buckle and bend. So, and I think that may have been installed, I think in 21. It's a couple of years older. But again, it's a huge improvement. So thank you for that.
Moving in the right direction.
Yes. Oh, and previously in that other picture, sorry, go back. There are also, in that picture with the lights, are also the new sound shells and choral risers. I forgot to mention those. They were purchased last fall and were delivered in February of this year, which was wonderful. Thank you so much. The kids love those. Yeah. They are so excited to perform on those new choir risers that don't creak and buckle. And there's a safety railing on the back, so we don't have to worry about students falling off of those, as well as the new sound shells that are wonderful for the acoustics for performing, and they look beautiful.
They look awesome.
They are all the same color. They don't have chips and dings in them, and they are also safer for our students. The previous ones had arms that you would pull, and when you would pull on them, sometimes you were taking your own life in your hands, wondering if it was going to fall on your head. So we appreciate these. They just hand crank up, and students are able to even set them up in the theater tech class, and they are a blessing. So thank you so much.
All right. All right, so there are other less, I will use the term sexy things. Heating and cooling is working well. External doors have been changed, and they look a lot better. And all the locks work.
Mostly.
Mostly.
Yes. There's still some work that needs to be done
Sure.
on finalizing the locks to a fob system, but we are in the right direction. Yes.
All right, and then there's just a list of things that are in process. Go ahead.
So second phase of the lighting system is going ahead and finishing everything from the halogen lights that we currently have and upgrading that to an LED package completely. And I'm going to give you guys these. These are bids. Forward unless we know what numbers we're working with. These are some of the bids that we received. Productions in Phoenix, and they are they gave us some bids on upgrading the LED system. You will see two bids for or quotes, I should say, for the lighting system. One of those is to upgrade all of the infrastructure and take care of everything, but then they wouldn't change out our lights. That is the lesser number, and so it looks really great because it's smaller, but unfortunately that's not going to get us where we need to be completely. If we really want to do this and we want to do it right, we are going to need to go with the higher number package because that will take all of the halogen lights, which are getting more difficult to find lamps for, as well as, you have to get colored gels to put in those lights anytime you do a production and a show. And those are getting more and more expensive, which is eating away at more budget money. Where the LED lights last a lot longer. They come with colored gels in them, so you no longer have to buy those gels. They are just there. And our light board that we currently have in our booth is equipped to handle these new LED lights. So when we received the dimmer racks, we also got the new light board. And this is just part 2 of that phase. So you'll see those 2 quotes there as well. And that is something that we are hoping to move forward on. We are still waiting on the final part of this proposal, which is the house lights. I was in contact with Jill Maurer, and they are working on, she works for Clearwing. She's the one that prepared all of these. She's working on getting that proposal together to find new light canisters that will fit into our current lights. And so we would be redoing all of the can lights, and they would have a permanent LED, so it wouldn't be a retrofit. It would be a permanent fix, and then all the lights that, some of the ones that aren't working, we would now have all of them working completely, and it would be a complete LED retrofit. So we're waiting on that proposal, and we will get that to you as soon as I get it from her.
Okay. So these other items here, these are more safety and security issues. I know at the city, we have really been focusing on security cameras. I think for this facility, it would be a really good step. You can see in the parks and in all of our assets, we're putting these cameras, and they've really done a great job at mitigating a lot of vandalism and tomfoolery that can happen when it's dark outside. Key fob access, you mentioned that, so this platform risers, you want to
The
talk
platform
about
risers
that?
are another performing element for the students, and that project actually went into works this week. The purchase order is in process. We are working with Wenger Corporation to order those new stage platforms. If you've ever been to the concerts and you've seen the kids dancing on those old platforms, they are original to the building, and the legs tend to buckle and squeak and fall, and so we always make sure that they're secured before the kids get on them. But these new ones will guarantee safety. They will also have a safety railing for them, so that no students should have the ability to fall off the risers, which is great. And that's a major focus of the committee has been the safety of the students in the building. So that's one of the directions we've looked at in upgrading some of the equipment and the needs of the building, the safety for the students also.
All right, more text, so I'll leave that one up. Lots of fun to read. There's still a lot to do, but we're moving in the right direction. And we just have, it's a checklist, right? You go down the checklist, you get done what you can do, and plan for the rest. If you have any questions about any of these, Ms. Whipple is a wealth of information, and she will fill you in.
This list in order?
No, it's kind of a list, and also part of this package, the other 2 bids that are in there, you will see the additional fly lines and the new stage curtains that are a part of those quotes. We have those, so we thought we would enclose those for you guys to see and know at least what we're looking at in numbers. Our stage curtains right now are kind of holding on the safety level. They are at their expiration date for fire code safety, and just they have a lifespan like any part of equipment or anything does. And so they have kind of hit that lifespan. Their expiration date is there. We are still okay to use them. We're not going to get shut down or anything like that, but we just have to be cautious and cognizant of that's where they are at. So the quote is included for that, as well as the additional fly lines to enhance the ability of our building and what it can do and the productions, and allowing for future things to come in there and to have happen in that building. So, and part of that fly line package is also, right now, our grand drape, or the main curtain that goes up and down, it's a fixed motor speed. So it goes very slow. It takes 30 seconds for that thing to drop and go back up, and that is a long time. Part of the new package includes a adjusted speed motor. So we would be allowed to drop that curtain in about 7 seconds, quickly and safely. And then it would also go up at about 10 seconds. And so when you're dealing with a production, or you've got an audience that's waiting for something to happen, that is ideal. And so that motor would then, that's a new motor that would be added. The current motor that's there would also be kept. It would be just put on a different line. So we'd be getting to keep it, but we're getting a new one that would affix that quickly rising and slowing curtain. They would also be installing a new system on that main curtain that would allow us to pull it from side to side. So it wouldn't just go up and down, it would go back and forth, which is also an asset in most theaters as well. So it would just be enhancing the building, the value of the building, as well as other productions coming in here and renting the facility and using it. That's what they're looking for, are those kinds of little things that make a big difference. And it makes it marketable.
Kelly, you asked about a prioritized list. We do have one of those, and we'll make sure we get that over to Kevin and he gets it to you. Okay? You bet.
Thank you.
That's pretty much all we got. We really love that auditorium, and it's moving in the right direction. So if you have any questions, we're here to answer. Well, she's here to answer them. And we just appreciate the opportunity to present.
Thank you. Do I dare ask about our bat family?
The bats are cleared as of now.
Everything's cool. Okay.
For now. So bats have been in that building for a long time. But they come in and out, they come and go. So hopefully for now, we are cleared on the bats.
A new roof will help.
Huh?
Maybe the new roof will help.
I hope so.
Probably would disturb them.
It is.
So at City Hall, I don't know if I should say this in an open meeting.
Press the button that says mute. Nobody will hear you, I promise.
Taking minutes. We've had issues with bats, and that seasonally they come and go. And it's a question of sealing things up and, calling the right people to egress them from the building in a sanitary and humane way, because a lot of them are protected. So there are lots of the older buildings in Show Low have the same issue. So generally, you're not dealing with crazy bats that are attacking people. I've really never seen that, and you don't hear about it much. I certainly haven't heard it here, so I think we're okay. There's some wood to knock on all around me, so but yeah. Thanks again for the opportunity.
We're thankful for the committee and all that they're doing and for your service and your undying service, because you continue on. I mean, Cynthia, you have fought for years to do what's right for our students and our community and that building and your love for that building. So thank you. And I'm glad we're moving in the right direction. So yeah, please thank the committee as well.
To the board and to our administration for the work that they put forth, Sean West and Mr. St. John, and the money that has been allocated. We are grateful. The students are grateful. I will tell you, they notice those little details and those things that happen, and it makes a difference to them. They walked in after the floors had been done at Christmas last year, and one student said, "They redid the floors and bathrooms for us." And that was her direct comment, and she was so excited to see that because she loves to perform. So they notice, and it makes a big difference to them, and it makes them feel better. So thank you so much for the efforts that you are putting in on this behalf, and for the community support as well that's going into this building. We wouldn't be able to do that without their help and support. So thank you to everyone who's been supportive of the arts in this direction.
And we're going to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Security cameras are coming. I think they might have approved those tonight. Those are coming too.
Outstanding. That's a big step.
Cynthia.
And if there's any further questions that you have or concerns, or if you ever want to walk through the building and just see where things are at, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to walk you through there and just do whatever we need to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Sure. There you go.
Weber, NAVET presentation.
Madam Chair, thank you, and appreciate Superintendent St. John. We're grateful to be here this evening. I promise I'll be brief. I know that you've got more to your agenda. Just want to, first of all, say thank you, as I do every year, to those that we working with Kevin and Ben at the high school. Grateful to work with Jerry, awesome CTE director. We just work with some great people. Brandy's fantastic. We're constantly in touch with each other, comparing notes, particularly on students that come to our central campus. There's just a lot of going back and forth, and we are very blessed to work with each of you. I don't want to steal Kevin's thunder, but Ben did a fantastic job today with Governor
Might put him
Hobbs.
up there.
I was grateful to be there in that meeting, but I'll let him talk more about that. But like I say, and I did want to also recognize Calvin McNeil. He represents Show Low Schools on the NAVIT board, very, very faithful, and I'm sure he's listening in tonight. I'm just going to skip right to the primary purposes because I know that you know the background of NAVIT. I sometimes spend more time on those slides if we have new board members. But just to remind you, we really fulfill two purposes. The first is to bring in that funding stream that comes into your high school based upon the students that you have in your current career and technical ed programs. And then second, for those who have the time and can leave for half a day to come to one of our central campuses through NPC, we do have some additional CTE programs. But remember, the reality is most students only have one period a day to give to CTE. So 95% of the current tech ed is happening right at Show Low High School. And so we'll review that. So let's just jump into the numbers. I divided it up into 2 slides this year, so it's a little bit easier to read. Remember, Show Low was one of the original 5 districts. We're up to 11. But notice you start out about 273,000. And you probably you topped out at just under 550,000 in FY4. And then as we jump to that second page, because then you start to jump up, because if we go, remember we lost freshmen. And so now we're back up into the 400,000. So our estimate based on your attendance here at Show Low High School for this year is well over 400,000, 412,000. So at this point, Show Low District has received over $8.5 million through NAVIT coming into your school. So where do we spend that? Right here. Here is the list of the CTE programs, your teachers, and notice that several of your teachers are teaching multiple programs. That's the most efficient way to offer programs and to increase your ADM, your average daily membership that comes from CTE. So we're excited about the offerings that are there. Great teachers night, and I do want to do a shout out for your teachers here. When I reported last year, we were still in the middle of the state monitoring. Remember, that was like 30 indicators. I mean, this wasn't just, hey, I got a bachelor's degree here, or I did this project here. It was literally, we paid up to 80 hours from our 301 fund to help supplement, because these teachers were working nights, weekends to try and get all this done. So Jerry, thank you for coordinating, finishing up that monitoring. We do, and NAVIT does a monitoring every year on those same indicators. But we're just doing a little bit at a time. But to compile all those indicators for the state, and part of the problem is they had more than one judge. So say if Jerry had submitted before he became director in graphic design, and he got passed off on an indicator, William Crawford in culinary could submit something very similar, but then it was not approved. So they weren't using the same rubric. And so needless to say, it was problematic. And so for Jerry to kind of come in, bring everybody together and get everything approved by the state. Well, I love Jerry's email to me when he received the email from the state. He says, I was near tears. Because it just was exasperating, to say the least. Dealing with the Department of Education, but just know that every $301 that we paid to your teachers was well worth it. And so, like I say, kudos to your teachers, to Jerry, to Ben for giving them the time they needed to finish this up with the Department of Education. So we really do appreciate all the time that they put in. Let me just give you a quick glance at the central program list. We did add a few this year. Administration of Justice, that is for those who want to become a policeman, you have to be 21 to carry a gun. So what do you do in between? So the Administration of Justice program gives them the opportunity to get certification in dispatch and also get them some training to do security. So that's a new program. They added computer information systems, and this coming year they're going to add a second year to that will include cybersecurity. So those are just some of the new things that they're doing at NPC. If you haven't had an opportunity to come look at the NPC Skills Center, feel free to coordinate through Jerry, and I'll get with the teachers. We're happy to give you a tour. We just need to set it up ahead of time. But it is phenomenal. The automotive and welding shops are pristine. They're beautiful. A lot of your students are in there, and so we're grateful for that. So more than anything, just want to say thank you again for the opportunity we have to work with Show Low Schools. We love serving your students. I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
For everything, yeah.
Ready? Thank you. And once again, if you have any questions, please get with Jerry. We'll get you answers. So thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
You bet.
Superintendent report.
You guys, I'm going to start with giving a little bit of my time to Mrs. Clark to come forward to talk and share a little bit of a community service announcement. Community Fast. Yep.
Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. St. John, thank you. I'm here tonight as a member of the committee for the Community Fast of Compassion. Our city leadership passes a proclamation. They have a proclamation every year to support the annual Community Fast of Compassion. I just wanted to kind of bring you up to date about how some of our students are participating this year. It's been the vision of the committee to kind of broaden that a little bit and include more people in the community, and what better way to include people in participating with the Community Fast than with our youth. So I had the opportunity to go over and meet with some groups from the high school. If you have a chance to come on November 19th at 5 p.m. in our very own quasi-remodeled auditorium, no bats, we'll have the celebration that night, and to culminate the fast. And you'll see a video that's been put together by our high school audiovisual department under the leadership of the new teacher there, Mr. Rocky Merrill, with Mr. Butler's support. They went out on the road and videoed some of the recipients from years past and put a video together that I'm sure is going to, challenge any professional group. Mr. Merrill was very excited to be a part of that project, and his students were very professional. They came over and videoed me on Monday and were very professional, and it was just a privilege. Also, under Mrs. O'Connell, Mrs. Caitlin O'Connell, her leadership with Student Council, they're participating in kind of a class competition to donate money to the Community Fast, and so it'll be fun to see how that turns out. And I'll be excited to hear how the kids experienced it. But just wanted to loop you in on, that's happening in our community. I think it's pretty well publicized, but for members of our audience tonight who aren't aware, the annual Community Fast of Compassion this year starts on Sunday, November 12th, this Sunday, and lasts through Saturday the 18th. And the idea is that you would fast from 2 meals during that time period and take the money you would have spent on food and donate it to the fast. And then the committee is committed to taking 100% of that funding and putting it right back into our community to help out families for the holidays. And a lot of the recipients you'll see are schools that'll come before you as requests to accept donation from the Community Fast to help our PTSOs, help some of our families for Christmas. And I know at the junior high school, one of the things our students do is like a canned food drive, and we put Thanksgiving baskets together. And so we're able to use some of the Community Fast funding to help supplement that project as well. So just some really neat things that we're able to do as schools and support our families and our students over the holiday season because of this. And so I just asked Mr. St. John if I could have a minute to talk to you all and let you know. At the celebration, you'll see Miss Whipple and Mrs. Gonzalez there with a mixed junior high school student choir to perform as well. So just should be a fun time. So thank you. Thanks for
Will you advise how people can donate?
Yes, ma'am. Most of the local banks will take donations. Also, you can donate online. SholoCommunityFast.org is the website.
You said the celebration was the 19th at 5?
19th at 5. We moved it up a little bit this year so we can get everybody in and out maybe before dark was our goal. Try to get people home. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Clark. Well, Mrs. Clark's school, if you noticed too, one of the first things on my report was to announce to you and let you know that the targeted assistance with the subgroup that I think it's been about 4 years The testing was not at a level that was satisfactory, and now it is. And so that was a great letter and piece of information that we received from the Department of Education. And so kudos to the leadership there, Mrs. Clark, and the staff, and for everybody for getting that done. That's an awesome thing, and something we need to celebrate and be proud of. So tonight we were also going to, I want to do a shout out anyway for the girls soccer team too, and there was a couple of junior high clubs as well that I think won a couple championships. They were going to come tonight, and then some kids couldn't make it, so we put it off till December. But nonetheless, I just wanted to mention how proud I was of the girls soccer team. They had a great year. But really, they were just good kids. They were fun to watch. So they went to the state title game, and it was a tight one. But, either way, what they'll learn is how important it is just to have that kind of character and be out in the arena, right, and just be out there competing. And so those kids should be here for us to be in front of you, and our athletic director can share a little bit more, their coaches or whatever, in December. So also I want to say, kind of shout out to the Linden School and staff and kids and Mrs. Ryder. Remember the kids that came and sang to us, I think, back about this time of year, maybe December? They had their veterans program, and so this is a perfect day, right, for us to also share, our thanks and to the veterans. They do a great program. They have a song where they're singing thank you to them. I don't know exactly all of it, but they stand right in front of those kids, and it's kind of a tearjerker to have those veterans out there in front of them. So it's a really cool program, and so God bless and thank you to all our veterans on behalf of Show Low Unified. So also in my report, that the junior high seems to be in it quite a bit there, but we know we have a maternity leave to deal with, and so I just wanted to share with you the information, what's going on and how we're going to deal with the maternity leave that's coming up with our assistant principal, Alex Dietering. So just wanted to make sure you guys are kind of aware of how we're handling that. Couple of things, a couple of future budget items, really, but a couple of things I wanted to make sure it's on your where you're thinking about it a bit too. Is we were looking at the classified salary schedule. You knew that. I'm planning to work through that a little bit more with administration. I've been working through that with Mrs. Smith, but I'd like to sit with a couple of you. So I kind of mentioned I'm going to have we'll of course that'll be a public meeting, and so we'll post it and all that, but. That should be on the agenda, kind of has to be actually, in December, because the minimum wage goes up 50 cents at the start of the year. So we want to adjust some of those to where we think that we can handle from a budgetary standpoint, and doing the best to be able to recruit. I know we want to retain too. Sometimes I don't know if we have enough to really do that sometimes, but we want the best number we can. Whether it's our paras, whether it's our food service. Well, food service, we only have one there now because most of those are moving to the SFE. But our finance people, secretary people, custodial, all of those. So we want to do the best we can there. So that will be something that we're getting close to being done. And so I'll have you guys look at it, a couple of you, and then the whole board will look at it and hopefully be able to approve that in our December meeting. We're also looking at the budget, as you know, as mentioned with Mrs. Smith, for next year, trying to anticipate what we think we can handle for our certified. Hopefully we can bump that up to a reasonable amount, I guess the minimum being at least 2%. And if we can go higher, that would be great. But we also we have a few needs. One of those needs I think you actually approved a couple of years ago, but for some reason it wasn't enacted, but there was the GUS program. They call it the Cubs program now. Down at Whipple, but it's to help us with all of our kids and especially those that might need a little more different kind of attention. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. I think it's needed. They've asked for it. We're analyzing it. It's really mostly from a financial point of view, probably about $150,000 to run that program. I anticipate that being in front of you, being recommended to approve. I think it's all.
You mean to enact it at Nicholas as well? Is that what you're talking about?
Pardon?
You mean to enact it in Nicholas as well? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. So in the December meeting?
Mhm.
Yes. So that would be another, but the problem with that, we don't receive funding directly for that kind of program. And so the only negative, right, and there's always consequences to whatever decisions we make, whatever it might be, there's always kind of maybe the negative side. And the negative side is it's just using up money, right? So we just have to remember that. I think we're going to be fine and be solvent at least for the years to come and what we can see, or we wouldn't recommend it. And plus we feel like we need it. We just have to understand that it does, eat up some money, right? And it needs to be sustainable money. So, which is, of course, the same thing when it comes to the classifieds. All of that is, when it comes to salaries, that's a year after year thing. And we're also looking at a few of those things that we've been covering with ESSER, but we don't really have that much. We don't have a cliff. I mean, we've managed that well, but we do have a few things that we knew going in that we were going to use some of our learning loss money for, that we planned, though, to move that into M&O, into our regular budget. So it does get kind of tight a little faster than you think, but these are important things. So those are a couple of items I wanted you to be aware of, thinking about, and should be on the agenda in December. And then the last thing that just came up, and this is an interesting. We were approached by a cell tower company about putting a cell tower up to help with our cell service, which would be Verizon, AT&T, whatever, 2 or 3 that would go on there. There's no cost to us. It actually makes us money. So, and it is a critical of critical importance to our safety down there. We noticed that right when I first got here. Like we've acknowledged that. We know it's an issue. So it's really something that, I mean, if we didn't make any money, I would think we'd want to do it. It'll take about a 40 by 40 foot spot of land. So and we can actually even put it on a pole that's already out there on the football field or softball potentially as well. So I wanted to get that out there because I know there sometimes can be some negative parts to, like in any decision we make. But frankly, I mean, we just have to try to do this for communication's sake, especially when it comes to the safety end of it. Just the other day, I was trying to get on the Raptor icon that we have for safety and where we can push buttons and do those things, and it wouldn't come up. And it's just, we're sitting over at WMI actually, and I was trying to show with Mrs. Roach, and it just wouldn't come up. So it is not good. Like, it's a major, significant safety issue to not have better cell service. And then just in communication in general will be good too.
So it would help how well cell phones work there near the high school area? How much reach would it help it all over at Nicholas, over at Linden, or are those too far away that it wouldn't make an impact?
I would assume it goes at least that far. But I don't know the answers to that exactly. I would assume it would help everybody kind of everywhere. So it's just a matter of working with the city, which I've already contacted them, and I think most everybody seems to, I mean, everybody's excited about it that I know of right now. And I think it's important to kind of move fairly quickly. So if the agreement, which has already been in front of our lawyers, because every agreement, of course, goes through a lawyer, they're working with that language with them. If that looks good with them, I kind of would like to maybe put that potentially in front of you in December. With the contingency, of course, we'll agree to that, but we still got to meet all the city and county or whatever state regulations that there might be. So we could do it, again, we could do it on a pole. They can do it like a tree. I've taken some pictures of ones that I've seen. They look pretty good. Don't look like a tree exactly, but they're disguised. And then the location, that I think you guys will want to be privy to. We thought about the corner of our facilities transportation area, which isn't real big anyway, but there is kind of a corner up there would be kind of out of the way. And if we did a tree model or whatever, I just wanted to get that information out so that if people want to provide some feedback in regards to that effort or to this effort, we want to hear about it.
And can we give us a presentation when it's going to be on the agenda for approval?
I would assume so. That's a great thing. Absolutely. You bet.
We would probably want to talk to the neighborhoods. Because once you put up one of those big old things, it can hurt feelings. Especially if it's supposed to be a tree and it doesn't really look like a tree.
think they look too bad, though.
No, they're not bad.
I think they look good. We put them when I was in Butte, out on the golf course there. They loved it. It just kind of fit right in. It was in the middle of the golf course somewhere, and it brought in revenue. So it was, and it improved everybody's sales service. So it was a good thing. But in our particular case, it's so bad that
I
it's
think the neighbors would be glad that their phones would work better too.
Yeah,
we don't have.
that's how you'd have to sell it.
Yeah,
It's not even.
it's a safety issue for everyone in the
It's
community.
almost non-existent, you know, as
Yeah.
far as our ability. So we really kind of have to try to get something done here. And I've been trying for months, since about a year since I've been here, to try to get a hold of these guys to look into getting a tower built. So, you know, here they showed up and we're like, okay, let's see if we can get this done. So.
I'm assuming there's gonna be fencing and stuff involved, certainly, and they'll take care of all of that. You said there'll be no cost incurred by us?
They can even do a brick wall, or not brick, but a cinder block. So it can be nice that way too. So it just depends. I figured up, if it ended up, for instance, up in that corner, I think the fence and they'll put the little slat things would probably be fine. But if it was in some other spot that's more where people were driving by and different things, then I would ask them to do the cinder block, so it look even more aesthetically pleasing and stuff like that. So, yep, they do that.
Item 9.1, classified personnel employment for your approval to include staff, substitutes, and transfers.
Move to approve as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.2, certified personnel for your approval. It's a transfer for Mr. Craig Wiley from a certified substitute to a full-time teacher.
I will enthusiastically motion to approve. My daughter is in his class. Very glad to have someone in there permanently. Yes, so I
I'll
motion.
enthusiastically second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.3, activities personnel employment for your approval.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.4, curriculum adoption. This is for the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. If anyone has any questions, Charlotte's here.
Did you receive any community input? Great.
Great.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
I saw a lot of positive on Facebook also.
Yeah.
So I think it's awesome. I'll move to approve as presented, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and thank you for reaching out to the community the way you did. I think that helps a lot. I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.5, Arizona Mutual Aid Compact. Mr. St. John, I know this is new to the district. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, well, I think the most frequently asked questions pamphlet with that is the best thing for people to look at. And when you just look at the purpose of it, that's the Arizona Mutual Aid Impact enables participating political subdivisions and tribal nations to share resources, personnel, etc. during emergencies, and then be reimbursed for those resources. So, you know, it's all good. Can't think of a negative to why. I think if we didn't do it, it's just because maybe almost like an oversight. This would be a lot smoother should we have that kind of emergency.
It was kind of odd that they came up with this because it's something we've always done in the past anyway. Whenever there's been a fire or, you know, we've always opened up the schools to FEMA, and so.
I think, you know what, I think it'll all work out fine that way, but I think it might be just a little messier to get reimbursed and stuff, whereas if this is already in place, it'll happen a little quicker.
I'll motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.6, liquidated damages. This was the language that the board asked to talk about, if you wanted to keep that in contracts.
I actually had a question based on it. The way it reads now, you know, there's the 3 sections. There's teachers, classified admin, and certified admin. And for classified admin, it says resigning with board approval. But for the teachers and certified admin, it says with or without board approval. I just wasn't sure if that was a typo or if it is purposefully different for classified admin. You see what I'm saying? It's in the first sentence of each paragraph.
I would think it's a typo, but
So if we're leaving it, I think we should change that typo. Or if we're changing it, then that's, either way, something needs, even if we decide not to change what we're really saying in it, that should be corrected.
on that, that's something that comes from our school lawyer.
Yeah. So John, did you want to?
I can't find it here. Not that it's not here, but I'm just not finding it.
Do you want to look on my?
Yeah. Yeah, so my big thing with this is I really am not so much. The issue is that we have a policy that we seem to never follow. And so if we have a policy that we don't follow, and obviously it's not necessary, we should clean the books, so to speak. And I really have no issue with this. I would just rather have it and follow it, or don't have it and just let it be what it is. I mean, the narrative has been that we already pay these people. There's no way we'd ever get it back from them anyway. So what's the point? You know, so I'm all for getting rid of this if we're just never gonna adhere to
That
it.
doesn't happen all the time like that, though, John. It has happened some, but there's some that we have been able to apply.
And to that point, I think that if this is a policy that we have and we have an issue coming up, we should be acting on that and holding that money instead of going ahead and issuing a paycheck. Also, I truly believe that at some point, someday, somebody's going to sue us and say, you gave that guy his money and not me. Why? And then they come up with a myriad of reasons why we're whatever we are in choosing that guy more than me. And so it's just a mess that we should either keep it and adhere to it or get rid of it. Just my opinion.
I wouldn't mind.
Because I'll always vote no on this, and you guys know that. Every time it comes before us, I'm gonna vote no because we have it in policy.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it went away. I don't love the dynamic it creates where you have a teacher having some sort of issue and they're trying to decide whether or not to make the really tough decision, and it being kind of held as a, something over the head. Well, if you do, we're going to take $1,500 unless you have a good enough reason that we might try and waive it. I don't love the dynamic.
Yeah.
But I also understand that it can be so problematic when we have, when we leave, when we get left, but I don't know.
Yeah, it costs us money to replace that person, and so
And there's an
we're out
impact to the kids when they're in between.
Absolutely, but at the same
all the other
time, you
teachers,
have
yeah.
somebody who has a really legit. I mean, there have been people who have had some sad situations come up in their lives that they just had no choice.
Yeah.
And so you're jacking them for your money. I mean, let's kick them while they're down.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Well, I hate that even when we do waive it, they still had to calculate that in their decision and worry about it. And they won't know if we'll decide to waive it or not. And so that's just another factor that they're having to use. So I don't love it, but I understand the kind of why it's there and why we need to have there be some sort of, I can see the need to have there be some sort of consequence to just, against people just saying, well, I'm out, I'm going to go get a better job that's paying me a little better in the middle of the school year. So I can understand it, but I
And if
don't
it's a
love the
better
dynamic.
job, then they can absorb the hit, right? I mean, theoretically, if that's why they're leaving.
Right.
If they're leaving for better money, then they're all right. But I mean, keep in mind, it's a contract. They sign a contract with us. I mean, nowhere I don't know what other people do with contracts, but seriously, that's a pretty serious thing to bail on a school in the middle of a school year, on the kids, the difficulty we have in finding instructors anyway. What are you going to do? So now you're going to start combining classes. It's just a mess. It creates a massive mess. So you know, it's bad on both sides, but I would just prefer we clean it up so every time something happens, we're not.
What do you two think?
I feel the same way. I think we should follow it. And if it's on the business end, they need to be educated to hang on to it or just get rid of it.
They should know that.
Yeah, they need to know that.
They should know that.
Yeah. Whether it's their leave, if they have leave and they take that money away, or if it's their salary. I don't know. What do you think, Kelly?
I believe that it's a good policy and procedure to have, but I also believe that, you know, when they appealed to us, and that's when this first was developed, it was, that appeal process was included in the procedure to begin with. So that's up to the board members to decide, you know, upon recommendation from admin, whether or not to approve, or, you know, the lecture. Not, so I don't know.
Is there an appeal process in it now?
Well, when it was first presented to the board, how many ever years ago that was, yes. And that is why we get the letters asking for us to waive the liquidated damages. That was always part of the process. And that's why the board has always received those, you know, when somebody wanted to contest it and ask for forgiveness of it. So I'm okay with us looking at it and deciding yay or nay, but, you know, I think I'm okay either way. I personally would always vote yes where John votes no, so, you know, really, you and I are always on the different ends of the.
Do we have any sort of data at all as to how many times we've waived it?
Well, I feel like the
How many times
last
we've not?
2 years, we've had so many instances, almost every month we've done it, where previously I felt like it was pretty rare. So it wasn't as big
Certainly
of a
rarer,
conversation.
yeah.
I mean, last year we must have had 4 or 5, didn't we? I think. So, yeah, I think it either needs to go or we need to adhere to it. So I don't know if you guys want to think about it a little more and wait till Paul's here before you vote on it.
I don't even think it's
It's just discussion.
yeah, it's just a discussion. It's not a.
And I understand that, you know, there's an element of humanity to this, you know. People have some issues that happen in their lives, but my problems are always important to me, right? And so I would want that granted no matter what it was. You know what I mean? As an individual. So I don't know.
Would you feel better about it if there was more, if it was a little bit more clear of how, having as part of the policy, how you would go about appealing and what things that we would consider, you know, kind of lay out, these are the criteria we would look at to decide whether to grant,
I don't know.
or if, and then if we
I
had
don't know.
the business office, be a little bit more on top of, you know, withholding so that we're not trying to say we're gonna go after.
Yeah, they definitely need to be on top of it regardless. I mean, if we're not getting it till a month or 2 months after they're gone, you know, there's no way you're going after it. There's no way you're chasing it. I don't know that I would want to list, these are things that are okay and these are things that are not okay. You know what I mean? Because
I don't think that's what I meant, but
well,
if we just kind of.
were acceptable, or I don't know what word to use, but I would rather not be painted into a corner. You know, if you're going to keep this and you want to keep it the way it is, then I wouldn't paint myself in a corner any further than I had to. You know, because, like I said, someday, maybe I'm wrong,
Just
but
enough rope to
someday
hang
somewhere,
ourselves?
yeah,
Yeah.
someday somewhere somebody's going to get ticked because you gave him his money back and you didn't give me mine. It's just gonna happen. And then you gotta deal with it and you gotta come up with your reasoning why.
Or
We're gonna have to have another meeting.
do our lawyers have an opinion on this policy?
I don't know, what
Well,
if
I'm
have we
sure
asked them?
Mr. Housley worked with our attorneys when he developed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this didn't come about without being
Right.
under their eyes, but.
Okay, for future
So-
discussion.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, as it sits, I'll probably always vote no. And then I'll have to go to the meeting. Whenever a meeting has to come up about it.
Okay.
Well, is it something something we even want to keep? I mean, do we want to hold people hostage, though, if they don't want to work for us?
I think you have to have a degree of professionalism when you
No,
hire.
but that's why I'm saying it's a contract. I mean, there's nowhere else really that you could get out of your contract without some sort of repercussions. I mean, I believe we could even go as far as to chase down their certification, right? And try to get it pulled from them. I mean, so if they think that much about it, that, you know, it's that is what they would do for repercussions, it's important. You know, so like I said, I'd rather either have it and adhere to it, or there's really no point in having it, in my opinion. So, you know, every time it happens, it's just gonna be the same thing. You know?
Item 9.7, dual enrollment IGA.
We need any explanation? Okay,
It's the same one we get every year.
Yeah, I'm willing to,
year.
yeah, I'm willing to motion on this.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's a great program, by the way.
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Super.
It's an amazing asset to the district.
Oh, man.
To our students.
I mean, I know this is personal, but, you know, my daughter graduated and only, you know, had to do 3 years of her college degree, and she's graduating in December. You know, with a nursing degree expressly because of dual enrollment.
Same with my daughter.
Got her
She
that far
graduates this
ahead.
spring, yeah.
Yeah, and there's lots of examples like that. But
It's
it's
awesome.
a good program.
Okay, so motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 9.8, audit contract. Mr. St. John, do you want to touch on this at all? This is, Karen brought this up when she talked. This is the Dallas R, is it Seiler? CPA was selected.
And she has some different experiences, history, and she said they're really good. So she's actually would be excited about this particular auditor as well.
Make motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.9, student fundraising activity for your approval. Senior hoodies and popcorn sales at the high school for girls basketball.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 9.10, sole source vendors for your approval. It's Huddle.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 9.11, gifts and donations for your approval. This is that propane donation.
Yeah, step propane, what, was there another one there? Or was that the only one? That was the only one, okay. I'll motion we approve with gratitude.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.12, future agenda items. You guys have anything?
No.
I think December's gonna be busy enough
I
already,
do,
it
but-
sounds like.
I do, but I'll run it by you later.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So motion.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, you guys.